Shall we pray? Father, we are grateful for this evening. We thank you for the life of each and every individual here, as well as the online participants. We pray that today's program, Father, will go on smoothly, and at the end of the day, the impact it seeks to have will come to pass. We are grateful to have your way, and at the end of the day, glory and honor will be given unto your holy name. There's many other blessings we ask in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. All right, so before we start, we just have some simple safety protocols. Participants here, if you want to go to the washroom, just on your right, facing the stage, you have the washroom there. And if there's any fire outbreak, gently, let's walk through the exits, one on your left and the other on your right. And there are some as well here. It won't take much of your time. We'll straight. I would also like to acknowledge our dignitaries here. First is the Executive Director in the person of Engineer David Yante. Right. And then also in our midst is Engineer Dr. Kwame Boache, the Chairperson of Engineering Council and the past President of DHI. You're welcome, sir. Again, we would also like to acknowledge the council member, Mr. Philip Aheto. You're welcome, sir. And then finally, the past chair of civil, in the person of Engineer Joseph Ode. Thank you so much. Okay, so just to go on with the program, we invite the Executive Director to give us a brief remark why we are gathered here. Please, let's welcome him. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, Engineering Council of Ghana, Engineer Dr. Kwame Boache, the CEO of Minerals Commission Ghana, Mr. Martin Kweku Ayisi, fellow engineers, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Greetings from the President, Council, and members of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. And a warm welcome to each one of you gathered here at the Engineering Center, Oman Accra, and to those online for attending this important dialogue on lithium mining. Today's discussion is significant as we convene to deliberate on lithium mining in Ghana, focusing on the recently signed mining lease agreement between the government of Ghana and Barari DV Ghana Limited. The GHI has always been at the forefront of fostering collaboration between the engineering professionals and government agencies to ensure that our nation's development is grounded in the principles of sustainability, responsible resource management, and technological advancement. Today's dialogue is a testament to our commitment to staying informed and contributing to the decision-making process from an enlightened perspective. Lithium, as we all know, is a critical component in producing batteries that power a wide array of devices, from mobile phones to electric vehicles. As our world increasingly shifts towards sustainable energy solutions and embraces the potential of electric mobility, the demand for lithium has surged. Therefore, understanding the implications of lithium mining in Ghana is not just a matter of economic importance, but also one that holds environmental, social, and technological ramifications. The recent mining lease agreement with Barari DV Ghana Limited marks a crucial milestone in our nation's journey towards harnessing its mineral wealth for the benefit of the people. Today's dialogue allows us to gain first-hand insights into the specifics of this agreement, its environmental considerations, the socio-economic impact may have on local communities, and the technological advancements that will accompany the mining operations. I encourage all participants to engage actively in this discussion, share your expertise, and ask questions that will contribute to a well-rounded understanding of the issues at hand. Let us foster an environment of open dialogue where diverse perspectives are valued and our collective wisdom can guide the path forward. I would like to express our gratitude to the CEO of the Minerals Commission for joining us today. Sir, your presence underscores the collaborative spirit essential for our nation's sustainable development. In conclusion, I wish everyone a fruitful and insightful dialogue. May our discussions today lead to informed decisions that will not only benefit our present, but pave the way for a sustainable and prosperous future for Ghana. God bless Ghana. Thank you.
I would like to thank the Executive Director for this remark. We'll still go on. I'd like to introduce our speaker. He is a lawyer with over 21 years experience and practice in mining and oil and gas laws and policies. He has been actively involved in the mining and petroleum sectors in West and East Africa and assisted in the development of the country mining strategies and regulatory systems to enhance good governance in the extractive sector. He was a consultant on sector policy, legal and regulatory reforms for the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining of Kenya from 2014 to 2018. He has also served as a consultant on extractives for export policy management, the GIZ, Adam Smith International, UNECA, IDLO, IISD, among others. He is a regular speaker on mining and oil and gas laws and policies across the world. He joined the Minerals Commission in April 2002 and rose through the ranks and was appointed a member of the board of the Minerals Commission in 2017. Later, he became the Deputy CEO and has since March 2021 been the substantive Chief Executive Officer. Aside of being a qualified lawyer, he holds a Bachelor of Arts in Geography and Resource Development and a minor in Political Science from the University of Ghana between 1991 and 1994. A Master of Law in Natural Resources, Energy and Environmental Law from the University of Calgary in Canada. That's between 2007 and 2009. He also has a Master of Law in Minerals Law from the University of Dundee in Scotland, a Master of Public Administration and Bachelor of Arts from the University of Ghana. He has a lot of publication to his credit, and he's been a visiting teaching fellow in the Master of Law of Oil and Gas program at the Stratham University in Kenya, and has some published journals as well to his credit. Please, shall we welcome Mr. Martin Kweku AEC. Please, let's do it for him. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Executive Director, and all engineers present physically here and also online. Good evening. Let me take this opportunity to apologize. I normally have a 3 p.m. session at Asempa. So I think I said around 10:15. And by 4, just as I was wrapping up, I saw submitting fee entering. So I requested to a sitting so that I can guide the process. But unfortunately, he was not allowing me to express most of my views. I said, look, I'm meeting the engineers at 5, so I got to leave. And I set up here. So I'm apologizing for keeping you 30 minutes when you could by now do some engineering drawings and make meetings. So that is that. But before I start, let me say that I've been looking for an opportunity like this. Because if you look at the local content law, it's a bit of a digression, but it's very important. It favors you. It favors, everything the mining sector is engineering. If you've been listening to me on Metro and everywhere, it's all about engineering. But I thought I think I sent some emails some time ago, but I believe maybe the institute did not get it. But I needed to engage you so that you take advantage of Regulation 9. If you permit me, let me read, because it's all about you. The exercise here is not only just to explain this lithium thing, but also to see how your expertise can help us. So if you look at the Minerals and Mining Local Content and Local Participation Law, it was passed 2020, LI 2430. I'll just read that concerns you. Later I was sending to Helen so that they will circulate it for you. Then I'll come at another time, hopefully early next year or middle next year. Next week is a bit tight for me, but if you can make time, I can squeeze. And then we can come and discuss that provision that concerns you. So Regulation 9, and it's barely 50 years. Regulation 9 says, just permit me to read. And sometimes I may have to be coming to the institute for some advice and your permission to get certain things done. So Regulation 9 says, technical and engineering services. As I said, I'll send the LI down. Regulation 9.1, subject to sub-regulation 2 and 3. I'll read 2 and 3 subsequently. Technical and engineering services shall be rendered by companies owned by citizens and registered with the relevant regulatory bodies and with the commission. A foreign technical engineering consultant, firm or company, because sometimes the services can be done by an individual. That's why the law was drafted in such a way that it can corner all the various categories. So whether it's an individual, whether it's a company or a firm, howsoever described, you are covered. For a foreign technical engineering consultant, firm or company incorporated in Ghana and registered with the commission, shall, and the operative word is shall only be engaged when the required services are rendered in collaboration with a firm or company owned by a citizen licensed to provide such technical and engineering services in Ghana and registered with the commission. And then sub-regulation 3, that's 9.3. Despite sub-regulation 2, where there is inadequate or no capacity for any Ghanaian consultant or company owned by to undertake a particular engineering service, the commission may, in consultation with the relevant professional body, permit the holder of a mining lease to engage an expatriate or foreign company subject to terms and conditions determined by the commission. Now, we didn't say Ghana Institution of Engineers because when we're doing the law, some of your members are actively involved in mining and they work like that's why they civil engineers. They advise that you may not know when perhaps because the system is advancing, when very soon you move away as something corrected and go the style of UK or US, where now the Ghana Institute of Engineers will not be the only umbrella institution. You have what? the mechanical people, you have, if you go to the well-advanced country, they have Society of Mechanical Engineers, Society of maybe Electrical Engineers, because for now, all of you are under Ghana Institute of Engineers. So we made it open and use the term relevant, what do you call it, professional, but because you have to look into the future. So that's how we did it. I'm sure a few of you are aware of the solution. Some of you are not aware. Some of you are hearing for the first time. So I need to come again and educate you. And for example, the kind of technical engineering services that we have in Ghana or that the companies normally engage in. And then you see, every year we revise the procurement list. We don't need to go to Parliament. So I can just add something that I am of the view that we have capacity. That's how we do it. So for instance, this year, I'm planning to add engineer of record. For example, the mining companies, they have they call it engineer of record when it comes to tailings storage facilities, etc. All those things are geotech staff for which civil engineers are the best. So I seriously need to engage you in this area. Seriously. Okay, seriously, because at the mine site, it's all electrical, it's all mechanical, it's all metallurgical, it's all chemical, it's all civil. One of the most sought after areas, not just mining engineers. People think that when it's engineering, it's only the mining engineers that we need. Yes, they are the hardcore, but trust me, the most sought after areas too are the mechanical guys. Because if you go to the maintenance area, it's all mechanical. You go to the processing plants, it's all metallurgical, chemical engineers are needed and all those things. So our range of Helen and then the institute to spend some 2-3 sessions where I'll take you through the local content law and that concerns you. And then you can even give me ideas and say, look, hey, Martin, we have capacity in this area. Can you put it on the list? We realize that a lot of foreigners are coming to the area. So let us put it on the list, restrict it to Ghanaians or receive a certain percentage. We do that a lot. So for example, when it comes to surface mining, it's restricted for Ghanaians, the contract part. The underground, we said 60-40 because it's quite technologically very challenging. The same thing, we can also talk about tailings storage facility. Effectively, is restricted to Ghanaians. And you guys have a lot of role to play. So I think some of you have to take advantage. Like the doctors have just taken advantage. If you look at, but I'll do a seminar for them. If you look at the new law, the new rules now, effectively this year, we have put medical services on it. So yes, so no mining company can bring in medical services. They used to bring people from South Africa, Switzerland, or, and all those countries. So for instance, when the contract of Golden Star, you look at the number of people, the thousands of workers ended in December. A group of Ghanaian doctors came together, established a medical, company. We registered them. They are providing the services now. So we will need to take you through this exercise. The same thing, insurance and other institutions. So I'll come again. That's why I told Helen I have to honor this at all costs. And then this will lead to better thinking. So we'll go to the program for the day. Let's go to the outline. Sorry. I'm a Southpaw, so. Possible. Right. Oh, the way where we are standing. Okay. Okay. So this one you go back, and this one. Okay. So that is it. So engineers, we can't do without you. So this is our first lithium agreement that was signed on 19th October, but the date of the contract is 20th October. I think I circulated it to Helen, so you can give it to your members. I also dealt with the relevant sessions. We may not necessarily finish everything today, but subject to your convenience, we can also meet again. So I'll look at some introduction, and look at the background of the project, policy framework for the negotiations, the lithium value chain, terms and benefits, and then the way forward. I think let me admit that at least I started work at Minerals Commission 2nd April 2022. If you ask me, so I've seen it all. Newmont 1, Newmont 2, that was renegotiated by Professor Kilakakora, the Goldfields one, Obuasi one, and all those things. Yes. So 2002, sorry. Never in my history have I seen an agreement being subjected to public scrutiny and generating so much public interest. I want to believe that if Newmont 1 and 2 and Goldfields and even Obuasi have gone this way, perhaps we'll have gone very far. And I think that's refreshing that we've come a long way now. Because in the past, they could have just taken this into Parliament, but they are arriving 22nd, and then they'll just pass it. You only get to know, I saw it in 2003, you only get to know when there's a problem or some civil society or things that are happening to chat it upon. And those days, even when you come to court, they won't give it to you. But now, thanks to the ITI, publish what you pay and all those things, it's available. The minister could have sent it to Parliament. But for how long can we continue like that? So he said, no, put it out there, let people talk, let people critique it, and then let's hear them go out and explain. They may not necessarily agree with you. Some of the things that they have, because there are a whole lot of things that people are saying that will not necessarily have to come into the list. So that is the essence. And I think you agree with me. I'm just 54 years. But some of you are past 70. You agree with me that never in the history of this country have we had public on contracts like, particularly in the sector that contributes not less than 40% of our receipts. Okay, if you listen to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, he said, as at August this year, our total receipts or exports was roughly about 11 billion, and 43% came from gold. So you can see that mining is everything. Now we are mining 16 regions, if you care to know. Particularly all the regions. So when I asked, gold mining taking place in Accra, I said, quarry mining. Okay, so that is it. So this has to give you the kind of things these green minerals or energy transitional minerals do. So you can see lithium is everywhere. For the electric vehicles, they are there. Renewable energy, solar and wind, they are there. If you look at the storage, they are there. Electronics, they are there. Of course, not only, as far as the chemistries are concerned, it's not only lithium that is used. The main anode is graphite, predominantly. And then the cathode, depending on the chemistry, some are, they say NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt. Some people talk about the lithium iron phosphates, etc. So that is it. It's not just lithium that is used. They also use the other ones. The green minerals, which ones do we have? Apart from lithium, there's also serious exploration going on for graphite on the outskirts of Wa, in a place called Kambali. So maybe in 2-3 years' time, you see graphite also being mined in Ghana. For now, at the world level, 60% is produced in China, and then they control 80% of the processing. So this is a country you need to compete with. That's why when people speak, I think either they don't have information, or as we say in Ghana, are poor, or they are speaking out of context. So when you tell me you should have gotten the same terms like Chile, that has 40% of the world's reserve, then you could as well compare your 200,000 barrels a day of oil, which you produce less, to Nigeria, which by far has the toughest local content law in the world. And I'm wondering whether Nigeria can compare itself to Saudi Arabia that does over 10 million barrels. The only country in the world with a spare capacity that can single-handedly change the price of oil. So why don't we compare ourselves to Saudi Arabia in petroleum or even Nigeria? But when it comes to lithium, they're asking us to go the Chilean way. So there's a whole lot of information people don't have, and I'm happy that you also want to get into this issue. So there are a lot of minerals that you find that are in Ghana. So we have manganese, which we've been producing since 1916. And I'm happy to announce that next year, after 107 years, they are coming to establish a refinery to produce manganese alloy and even upgrade it to the level of the battery mineral. So this is just a table to just help you. Rare earths, we will not find anything. So Barari, that's the name of the company that holds the lease. And I want to advise that about 90% plus of all exploration or prospecting licenses in Ghana are held by Ghanaians. That is something most people don't know. Overwhelmingly, many of the prospecting licenses are held by Ghanaians. So originally, This license is held by a Ghanaian. Then you know, Mensa, I mean, this is not anything we have to run away from. The general son, who is the boss of TOC, Ghana Olympic Committee, I think you know him. He owns the line. He picked it up 2012. Okay, and as typical of mining, you farm. So he brought these Australians who were farming in, and he was farming out. And at the time, the submitting feasibility, he had 10% and they had 90 because he got diluted. Even the big guys, take Nevada Gold Mine, which is the biggest in the world. It's a JV between Newmont and Barrick. These are the two biggest companies in the world, whose market capitalization is even more than our GDP. Take Kibali, a huge gold mine in years, I think by far the biggest now. It's a JV between Gogo Ashanti and Barrick. So that, and then they converted the reconnaissance to prospecting, and I think it has been renewed twice. So as we speak, the prospecting license will expire July 2024. Then in the course of that, they carved out an area for the lease, which was granted on 9th of October. Barari is now 90% owned by Atlantic Lithium, and then the 10% owned by Nuno Mensa. But following the dilution, it has changed, and then the lease, I'll talk about that. So it's listed in Australia and also AI, that is Alternative Investment Market in London. So that's the area, 42. So the prospecting license was about 17 or so square kilometers. So they've kept the remainder for further prospecting. Under Ghana's law, you can have more than 63 square kilometers for a mining lease. That's the upper limit, or 300 blocks. A block is 0.21. And then it's roughly about 8 villages. Abonko, Ewoya, Kampa, Krom, and Co. But the bulk of the land area is within Ewoya. That's why you keep asking Ewoya. Mainly in the Fansiman municipality, capital is Salt Pond. So they submitted the feasibility to us, we reviewed, and then we recommended to the minister to grant the lease. But before we did that, we said that fine, but he had consulted us for some additional information, and those emails are available. Some of the things that they are saying, they won't have said them. So you see, even one of their proposals was even discussed at cabinet, because I was there with my minister. Point 3. So these are some of the issues that minister took to cabinet. Should we amend the existing policy of 2014, Ghana's mining policy, the current one? Typically, a policy should be reviewed every 2 years and incorporate provisions on green minerals, or some guidelines and business as usual, or we should create a special company or entity along or akin to the GIADEC and Diesel Star. So these were extensively discussed. So perhaps if IEA, as I've said, or other think tanks, had asked, look, what policy consideration did you use and all those things, we'll have told them all this. Or if they had even read, we'll have even given them the statement minister made in parliament. That's not to say what we did is not the best or is the best or whatever. That's a different thing. I want you to separate the request for information that will help you do a better critique from whether or not we could have done better. I don't want you to mix the two. So you see, it is not they who were suggesting to us we shall create a Ghana Lithium Company, or however you want to call it. It was one of the considerations at cabinet. But be that it may, cabinet opted for option 1, and I'll tell you why. That amend the current policy and incorporate provisions on green minerals. Typically, a policy should be reviewed every 5 years. But the same policy documents also say, unless something dramatic happens, you are good to go. But since 2014, that's about roughly 10 years now, roughly 9 years. So 10 years now, roughly. Let's say it will be 10 years. A lot of things have happened globally, like these transition minerals. We've seen a lot of changes in the mining industry. We've seen new government policy initiatives. So we have even finished a review of the policy. So many of the directives cabinet approved, we want to even incorporate them into the 2014 policy, and you'll be one of the institutions that we shall consult. But many of the things border on engineering. So why did we reject option 3? Because option 2 is not something we had wanted. Just prepare some guidelines and then use it. It won't help. So these are some of the reasons. You see, unlike bauxite, where the deposits are known. We know Niani has been there for ages. Unlike Etiwa, we've known it. In Kume's time, people have come and gone. Data exists. Even we have a bauxite mine, which is today, I'm proud to say that it's 100% Ghanaian owned. The Chinese gave it up. It's 100% Ghanaian owned. So at least bauxite, there's something that there's even an existing mine. Bauxite started 1940. 1940. So they are still mining. Now it's 80% Ghanaian owned, 20% state. So if you like, 100% state and Ghanaian owned. So people don't even know that even Ghanaians own mines now. But we could do better. So that's one. Two, area is relatively small. 350,000 tons a year for like how many years? 12 years. Yeah, life of mine could be extended as they prospect further. Compare that to just one project in Mali, Gulamina. Gulamina is nearly 1 million tons, roughly 3 times the size of Ewoya. It's so huge. They also have other mines, Bugini and all those things. They will start producing. The big guys are there, Gaffen and Co. It's so small. And then we're also saying just 3 countries host close to about 70% of the world's reserve, the so-called lithium triangle. I'm sure you've heard about it, where the borders of Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina meet. Just like the bulk of the world's reserves of oil is found within the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, those 6 countries. So you can see that the situation of lithium is totally different from what? Bauxite. To the extent that Cabinet suggested that maybe eventually as new discoveries and mines come up, maybe the next mine could be 5 years or even 10 years away. This took 10 years from Reki 2012 to now. So wait, as we have new mines, perhaps then you can now create a special purpose entity. Other than that, a new bureaucracy, expensive and all those things. I mean, these are things we can manage. That is it. Even if people are suggesting that, look, was it even necessary to establish GIADEC or GIZEC? That's a question we can discuss another time. But these are the reasons why we opted for option 1. And a lot of people didn't know this. This is something we could have made available to IEU if they had requested us. So they will realize that their recommendation was already known to Cabinet. Then look at Zimbabwe. They have the biggest reserves in Africa and number 6 in the world after Chile, Australia, China, Argentina, Brazil. These are the top 5. Then I pull out this information. Just 6 months. Look at applications Zimbabwe got from China alone, 160, US 5. We don't even look at the other countries that have also applied. I mean, look at just 6 months, the kind of applications they have already. I couldn't count 20 or even 30, as I said in the press conference last week. What is driving this? The prospectivity or the nature of the geology. They even do galamsey. They ship it across, they smuggle it across the border to Mozambique and the other countries. I'll share some information to that extent. And then we don't have any known reserves. Again, here's why people make mistakes. You see, in mining, look, the geologists can tell you they can do a survey in Greater Accra, they will find some occurrences. But it is nothing. Even small scale may not even be mined at small scale level. So occurrences is not, and even when they do their feasibility, they'll tell you they have measured, indicated, inferred. You see all those terms, and as they work, they convert. So we don't have any serious data like Yinani or Etiwa, and even a mine as against lithium. What I can tell you is that the geologists in Ghana will tell you that lithium occurs in certain rock formations. So they will tell you that potentially this kind of rock formation, all things being equal, you may find perhaps lithium. But it's one thing saying you can find it in this rock formation, and it's one thing going there and go and spend millions to find it. Companies have come to spend a lot of money for other minerals. They didn't find it and they went away. So it's important we put that in perspective. So these are some of the driving forces or reasons behind we not opting for the proposal of IE that set up a central company like GIADEC or GIZEC. So I wanted you to take note of that. Then The other one, oh, competitive bidding. Competitive bidding. As if what we have done is not JV. What is competitive bidding? It should be based on data. So you invite to go to the data room to go and see what? There's no information. And a lot of people didn't know we had a provision in our law. This is 2012, licensing regulation, that under certain conditions, we have to go competitive bidding. So again, if you read some of the responses or criticisms or commentaries, you realize that some people even, because they said, adopt competitive bidding, put that in your law. But the thing has been around since 2012. So it is quoted copiously there. The condition at which we have to do competitive building, and on and on and on and on. So it is there. So apart from cabinet saying generally that look, amend the current policy and incorporate provisions on green minerals generally, I'm also giving you some further directives that you should look at, that you should incorporate in the amendment. So you see, it was on that basis that cabinet directed that look, use those ones to go into this negotiation, don't delay them. Okay? Because in any case, this is what we put in the policy in a way. I mean, let me be honest with you. The real meat is value addition. And that is what Africa has missed out all these years. If there's any country that any serious value addition is done in Africa, it's South Africa. For example, all the platinum is refined. They have over 80% of the world's reserve, followed by Zimbabwe. You see, and that's our big. We don't add value. So, must not necessarily, with all due respect, wait for a policy to know that we should add value. No, there are some building blocks you can run away with or start working in. So these are the reasons that inform us that, look, let's move. Okay? So these were some of the things that cabinet said, look, in your negotiations with Atlantic Lithium, they have regard to this goal, you put them in the policy in a way. And then, please, minimum does not mean exactly 30%. This is just minimum. Because if you look at the iron ore and bauxite, it says 30% minimum. There should be state and Ghanaian participation, 30% minimum across the entire chain. So when we're negotiating, we have that at the back of our mind. So when people say, oh, 30% Omokoji here, it means that you have to look at it carefully. All right? And then cabinet actually set the royalty rate at 7% minimum. But we'll tell you why we got 10. And by now, you should know very well that I don't have to lecture you on those engineering stuff. The grade may not necessarily be the same. A wire is 1.25. And then if you take Gulamina, for example, in mine, it's 1.38. I stand to be corrected. I think you civil engineers will tell you that the same 6-story building that can go up here cannot go up in another area. Maybe because of the nature of the rock or geology. Perhaps it is clay or you have to do some filling, the UAE style or whatever. You advise that. So that's why you always laugh at us when people just get up and build anyhow. You see, so it's the same principle here. At even $1,500 an ounce, some gold mines will have to close down in Ghana. Some 1,000 are good to go. Some 850 they are good to go. Okay, some companies, the cost of producing an ounce of gold, right now the price of gold is over 2,000. It's over 1,500. Some 1,004, 1,006, some 1,200, some of them 1,100, some of them 800. So while some can produce when the price of gold is 1,000, some will have to close down. That is why when people get up and say, just refine like that without any study, then I realize that they need a lot of education. So, okay, we say we want to add value. That's where the thing is. So if a company discovers another lithium deposit and it says, I'm going to mine 50,000 tons for 10 years, that's 500,000. You should set up a refinery. It is too small to set up a huge refinery. All these things we have to look at it. Okay? So these are some of the directives cabinet gave. And then cabinet said, look, instead of going for like what Professor Jampo and others were saying that, oh, go for 50%. At the point in time, the president asked the question, why? Should the state take everything? Why don't you let the state take some and take the rest to the stock exchange? Then he asked the question, make sure you don't just leave for anybody to come and buy because the Australians and Canadians can still come and buy. He says, design a system where it will be restricted. So when we're going to cabinet, we went to Ghana Stock Exchange. Abunama was there with us. So we are targeting snakes, those pension funds, your tier 3, 4, and go. And high, and individuals like you that have made a lot of money from engineering. You see, so all these things were there. That they have to use on the stock exchange. Why? Atlantic Lithium, they went and raised money over 10 years, $50 million. They didn't raise the $50 million accounts to say pre-coupe. When I look at some of the money the companies raise on Vancouver, which has more listed companies than any company in the world, Toronto, these are the main areas, Toronto, Perth, Vancouver. They go and raise 500,000 a year, come and do some drilling, get some results, go back. The following year, 1.2 million. The next year, they didn't raise the 50 million in the whole year. It's over 10 years. So, what is the problem that we sit here and think that they just did overnight? And there have been instances where I keep telling people, come and do prospecting, they say, it is too risky. When folks in America don't even know where Ghana is located, sometimes they think it's Guyana, and they come here and put in billions, and you don't want to put your money in it. And then when you see as so, yeah. So all these directives were given. Okay, so it is within these policy directive and measures that we entered into negotiations with Atlantic Lithium. Take note of that. There is another company that, for example, can also come and say, I'm also going to do the 350,000 tons a year for the same 12 years. What if the agreed is 1%? The economics will not be the same. Can you see the difference now? Another company will come, it may be 1%. As against Atlantic, 1.25. Because if you take Goldfields, Tapa, they're still doing 1 grams per ton. Yes. And then cutting that huge mine coming up, which will be ready next year by this time, is 1.1. Others are doing 1.7. That is it. If it's 0.2 or 3, then that may be small scale. And Tapa is surviving because they have the biggest plant in the world, like in Ghana, 14 million tons. You see, so sometimes people need to understand that. And then look at the price so far. 6 months ago, the concentrate, that's when you refine the rock and passing around, you get a concentrate. The price was 16.55. 6 months on, it has dropped from 3.775 to 16.55. Look at the sharp drop. July, August, September, October, November, December, 5 months. It has fallen from 3.775 to 16.55. Then, of course, that tells you that that's where the money is. In July, when you process the concentrate, let's say to carbonate, you get 42,000 a ton. It takes about 8 to 10 tons on the average of the concentrate to produce, of the lithium to produce the what it is. And now look at the 42, 17,115. Let me show you the price today. That's a second. It keeps falling, it keeps falling, it's falling, it keeps falling. So today, the spodumene concentrate, CIF China, 6%. It is 14.95. As of 6 December, so how many days now? So roughly a week. Let's say a week. It has fallen from 16.55 a ton of the concentrate to 14.95. This is 14 December. Then today, and then the price of the carbonate is 14,867.40. So 14,000. So it's lost about 3,000 roughly. So it keeps falling. I don't know what will happen at the close of the week. So from 42, okay, the refined product, that's a carbonate. That's 5 months to now 14,000. So like $40,000 drop, right? About 30,000. Okay, it has within 5 months it has dropped by 30,000. 30,000. That is it. I'm just giving you the value chain. So when they say the lithium should not go out raw, this is you should look at it. We don't even talk about the making of battery now. So where you need what they call it, manganese and the other ones, and then the manufacturing of the cells. We need to think seriously about the last 3. But at least 1 and 2, we want it to happen in Ghana. Okay? That is it. When they say you don't export the raw lithium, they are not talking about the first bullet. They are talking about the rock and circulating. When you do some processing, then you get the concentrate. But when you add value by building a chemical plant, what is generating the controversy? That is the price. 5 months, 30,000. Okay. Some statistics for you to know. Look at that. As we speak, Australia produces half of the world's lithium from hard rock. Essentially, lithium is produced primarily from two sources. Either the brine you find in Chile, Atacama Desert, where they pump the salt, huge evaporation ponds, then 18 to 24 months they process them, and it's cheaper than the hard rock in Australia. Ours is hard rock. So it's either primarily two, either the Latin American situation or the hard rock Australian or the Ghanaian one, or what you have in other countries. So Chile has 40% of the world's reserves, but currently they produce 25%. Australia has 25%, they produce 50% of the world's reserves. So some statistics for you. And China alone dominates both the midstream and the downstream. Midstream, that's the concentrate 44%, one country. So when people get up and say, oh, because you see, in one breath, you listen to critics, they say, oh, we should take the value chain seriously. I agree, that's where the thing is. Then people are saying, oh, royalty, you should have gone the Chilean model. Why don't you, now people are saying, do 10% flat, and then you should have had a range about 20%. Okay, but then you've forgotten that it's the concentrate you use to what? Produce a carbonate. So if you load all the taxes and all the fiscal elements at the mine mouth, you're going to make the raw material very what? Expensive, because you add it to its cost of production. So you tell that, oh, here, producing the concentrate is 5 cedis. If you go to Zimbabwe, this is for the sake of argument, maybe Mali 2, China, credit 50 pesos. So I am buying your concentrate it's too expensive for me. So it is cheaper to produce the carbonate or hydroxide either in Australia, Mali, Zimbabwe, or Chile. Because Chile can produce it cheaper than even the hard rock in Australia. So when some people are saying you should have got even a higher royalty, you are celebrating, you should have increased some other things. So in one breath, you say, look, add value. In another breath, they're asking us to do things that will make the cost of production very expensive. I don't get it. So people are not saying now we want to charge royalty. Royalty is not sensitive to profit, and it's tax deductible. You understand that? So there will be too much cost built up at the mining stage that your concentrate on the average will be expensive. These are really added. I don't know why is GTP collapsing. Why can't people buy Akosimo Texas, Travel Texas, and GTP? Because of the cheap ones from what? China, 170. 150 Ghana cedis. You know that because they can produce cheaply. People don't think about these things. And so we should have gone 50%, this, that. And then the same people are saying add value. You should go and buy an expensive raw material. Why should I come and be buying your concentrate 5 cedis on the average? Because that's what it's costing you when I can set up a mine maybe 3 cedis or Zimbabwe that has a better geology, more endowed and higher grade. People don't look at this. Okay, you're only looking at beauty, but you cannot cook. Okay, if you say, oh, but you can also hire people and pay them to cook for you, fine. But what about that that you must do as a wife or a man? So I want you to see it that way, that a lot goes into producing the concentrate. You don't have, what you are telling us we should demand, you make the production of the concentrate too expensive, especially when you don't have the Latin American type of geology or even your peers in Africa. These are things people don't think about. Okay, make 10% flat. What if another company finds lithium now and the grade is 1%? And if you charge me royalty, it will cost maybe $1,000 to produce a ton of the concentrate. So that's why I just told you that some companies are producing gold at $1,500 an ounce. Some 1,000, some 1,100, even some 850. Azuma like this, they will barely spend $1,000 to produce an ounce of gold. If you look at the feasibility they gave us, some are doing 1,500. So when you decide that impose certain types, you are rather killing marginal mines. When people don't know, so they just talk as if lithium is lithium. But it takes a lot of explanation for people to understand these things. And then look at the cathode and anode, 70, it's one country. So if China alone controls nearly half of refining the raw lithium into concentrate in one country, and you know how China can produce things cheaply, who will come and establish? Even Ghanaians will not do it. Okay? And then it has a chain reaction. I'm spending more to produce a concentrate. For that matter, I'm going to spend more to what? So your cathode, your anode will come to us. It will be on top. I have just told you that China produces 60% of the world's production for graphite, a battery mineral. That's basically the anode. And 80% of the processing. So the graphite in Gambale on the aspect of war, if it becomes a mine and you want to extract too much from them, you realize that you cannot compete with China that controls 80% of the process. People don't have this information. So the fact that you might be a lawyer or a judge, just ordinarily, this is something that engineers and geologists will understand. Okay, if I raise royalty to 7% today, the likes of Adamus, FG, Presi, and could all collapse because the cost of production is too high. But if you don't go out and explain this, people will not understand. So this is just some statistics for people to understand the state of play, the state of affairs. Okay, so look at it. Just 10%. So now they are saying it should be the minimum. And then as prices go up and profitability, whatever, get more. Master, your concentrate will be too expensive. The chemical plant will say, I cannot buy it because they're too expensive. And you are competing for Australia where royalty is 5%. Currently, to produce half of the world's production. Okay, remember, the cost of production includes so many elements. They factor all these into production. Chile, that is it. You have 8 to 26. They have the highest royalty in the world based on margin and profitability. So it could be as low as 8% to 26. What is the wisdom in that? Because they recognize the fact that the cost of production may not be the same. You want us to go and charge, so adopt the South American model, one country with 40% reserves. So your less than 200,000 barrels a day, we should behave like Nigeria, that does over 1 million, or Saudi Arabia, that produces more than 3 million barrels a day. A country that has spare capacity and can single, as we speak now, if the Saudi oil minister gets up and say, we are withdrawing 2 million barrels from them, you see that prices will go up. But if they say they are going to pump more, prices will what? Fall. You're not Saudi Arabia. So why don't we say that as for the oil, we should go and copy Saudi Arabia or even Nigeria? Why is it that our mining, some of the provisions our mining law is tougher than any countries in Africa? Because of our history. People don't look at all these things. Okay? And then corporate income tax, look at that. That's it. So if you are saying that, oh, do this, go for this, you should have gotten this, unless you want to say that your reserve is so big that you can do it by yourself, then so be it. Okay? If you have so much at the upfront, as we say, you are going to make setting up of a refinery uneconomic. You can't compete unless you do it yourself. And I believe you understand things very well. It's not about politics here. That's the state of play. And all the countries listed there, we can't go near them in terms of geology. Okay? People will go elsewhere. Why is that, what do you call it? These are normal stuff. And then community development agreement, 1%, that's a lot of money. Nobody has more than 1% in Africa. And we are the only country that has not legislated on CDA. Sierra Leone 1%, Kenya 1%. I wrote the law. Most of the laws in East Africa was heavily involved, so I know. So you go to Tanzania, 1%. And then Gita mines, owned by Agogo Ashanti, they pay. Then here is voluntary. Okay? And they can trust pesos. Afro Foundation, 70 committee. New one does 1% profit. And then one for every ounce they sell, $1. If you add that, if we were to charge 1% of revenue, that's a lot of money for those 17 communities under Afro Foundation. These things, some people don't look at it. You see? And then this is what the controversy is. And then Samuel Efi and Co were arguing with me strongly. But do you just get up? Remember, we've not done ratification. They are still in the environmental permitting process. A lot of your folks are involved. You have to come back to us if they issue the permits for what? Chief Inspector of Mines operating permit, and we also have to give them construction permits. We are looking at by the end of Easter next year. Now it is an agreement that they will what? Give us a report, a feasibility, 4 months. They assess 6 months, we say 4 months. So not later than 20th February, we will know whether we should be. And we are part of that committee. It's not only this one. The first part is also there. And here, these are the people doing it. Professor Mankwa, a renowned metallurgist. Yes, he's brought a scoping study. The feasibility is almost ready. So even this year we'll know. You understand that nobody is talking about that. He was totally silent on the first part. So let me tease your brain. Some of you are very old, so you should know this. Do you now see the reason why Nkrumah established a Sotpon ceramics factory? Today, they said they're giving it out to somebody on diversity and it's back stuff because they knew very well that Kaoli is first part when that program circulating. Maybe, of course, they knew there was lithium, maybe lithium didn't have any use that time. Because when you process it, you establish your account because the company was going to throw the first part and Kaoli away as waste. And as we speak, there are 5 ceramics factories in Ghana, all owned by Chinese. Okay? Sometimes the ownership is not important, like getting the people do it here. That's what we want. So, Keda Ceramics, or Triford, Wakan, Centio, and Marco Polo, and Jindal. All of them are in the Shama, and Centio, the oil guys. Yes, they do ceramics and sanitary ware. They use 960,000 tons of phosphate a year. The discovery given to us by Atlantic Lithium is 15 million. Divided by 12 years, divided by 1 year, it's about 1,250,000. So roughly, you see that that's more or less a market now for these 5. But right now, how do they get the nearly 1 million these 5 companies are doing from artisanal miners in central and western region? So, and then the grade will be about 27, 28%, as against the 8% KEDA told me they are using. So clearly, they will buy from Atlantic Region because the higher the quality, the less you spend in processing it. You understand that? And why buy something 8% when it's 28%? Now, it is an agreement that phosphate cannot be exported in Kaoli or all byproducts, except or unless with the express permission of the minister. So by the end of the year, we'll know. They are almost wrapping up, and it is human that is doing, not some Canadian or Australian company that will lie to us. We will know whether or not our market can take it. And if you ask whatever has been found, I hear very soon they'll publish another report because they've told us. So it means that whatever phosphate they declare now in feasibility is enough for the market. But the question is, what do you do with the additional 300,000 unless some of them expand? So quickly, if you get all the permitting by Easter or March, April, and construction take no less than 14 months, as far as the feasibility is concerned. So let's say even if construction starts somewhere like June or even April next year, after all the permitting processes they've gotten through, it means our commission will be somewhere 14 months. That will be somewhere 2025, the last quarter of 2025, thereabouts. So latest by Easter, you will know the status of the chemical plant. You will know what to do for phosphate, so that we don't behave like how we treated the gas. When we say, oh, we shouldn't flare like Nigeria, because Nigeria, they have more gas than petroleum. I don't need to flare, and then when we started with flaring, injecting something, which is normal as part of oil and gas. Then is it now that we started using gas? It's recent, but I think we still flare some quantity, yes. So we don't want to behave like the way we behave for the oil and gas. So that means that by the time construction and it will be completed, you're talking about roughly almost 2 years old. So 2 years is long enough for us to know what to do with our phosphate. We need to set up somebody or somebody should come and invest. And for me, it is not, I'm not crazy about, of course, I'm quite strong on local watching on Metro. But sometimes it is important the thing is done. It doesn't matter who owns it. So if you take, they are saying companies, Intertech, SGS, there are about 3 or 4 or 5 or so. They are all owned by foreigners. No Ghanaian owns an Assyrian company. SGS is not 100% Ghanaian. It's not owned by Ghanaians. Intertech is not owned by Ghanaians. Okay, I put assaying on the local content list this year. So the review I'm going to do for 2024, for example, I'm saying, look, certain types of assaying should now be done locally instead of taking them to South Africa or Australia. Okay, so that the money, the value stays here. So sometimes we shouldn't be obsessed with everything being done by Ghanaians. To the extent that Ghanaians can do it, hallelujah. But if somebody can set it up and do it here, he employs more people, and then you can tax it. So it's not necessarily Ghanaians should do it. Where the capacity is great and Ghanaians can do it, we'll budget it for Ghanaians. But sometimes I'm very careful. If you watch me carefully in the local content space, I'm very careful in being restrictive when it comes to the manufacturing aspect. So do I go up and say, why are you engineering? So B5 plus, get out. Or maybe about 100 million has come to set up, you say you should get up. Now you say that, oh, fabrication and things can be done only by Ghanaians, like the likes of Wayo or Halipi. What kind of person are you? Are you understanding? Yeah, let them come and set up. So create opportunity for them to set up here. And then they do it here. So that's the kind of thing we are talking about. And the MOU side, they sign with UMAT. That is what has generated the scoping study report. I have it now. So we are waiting for the final feasibility. So you see, if people have taken a step back and say, look, Matt, can you give us additional information on all these things? I think their position will have been a bit different. Please don't get me wrong. I'm saying having information, it is different from now saying, oh, this one we agree, we don't agree. And I have realized that if a lot of them have asked for more information, as have told them or put out in the email, they have consulted that, they will have changed their position. So we knew that it is too early to set up a lithium company. But you could have just found out from us. We knew all those things already, and we gave reasons for rejecting it. And then this is there. So go and read, and the document has circulated, the list. I've made likely for it. That's why I put the various clauses so that just go there and look at it. So Helen, you realize that I pointed to some key provisions, okay, rather than read the whole document. Because some of them are standard clauses. So these are some of the things. It is very clear that all byproducts, such as first one Kali, shall not be exported unless with the express permission of the minister. People say, oh, you are giving too much discretion to the minister, but then it also goes to say that unless there's no capacity for it. So, engineers, let me ask you, if it turns out that, let's say, our capacity is 1 million tons a year, and then what they're going to produce is, let's say, 3 million, what do? You say they shouldn't export? And I'm saying that we don't have to wait for the mine to start. We should rather be thinking of what that excess 2 million. We should be inviting companies to come bring proposals, set up, and then say how we can help. That's what we are doing now. You see, this is understanding, and people are twisting our language. Yes. So we increase the free carry interest of the state from 10 to 13. People are saying, oh, why didn't you go for 50% for the state? So the president asks, hey, see, why must the state take everything? Give the rest to some Ghanaians. After all, the people went and raised the money, they raised it on their stock exchange. So why should government take everything? So government is taking. NIF says, instead of buying 10, let me buy 6 and buy some on the hood code. So we have a board on the international level and then 2 seats here. So state alone is 19%. You remember that Ghanaian is still there. The rest will take it to the stock exchange. What is colonial about this? It's the same thing for Anglo Gold. The gold fields and all the ones we sign. What is colonial about this thing? Bear it in mind. If you load the physical elements too much on the mine, on what it costs to produce the concentrate, the cost of the concentrate which will be used to produce the carbon dioxide, which I'm saying one country alone, China, as at the end of 2002, controls 44%, you become uncompetitive. With all due respect, nobody's a fool. Where if I can go elsewhere and set it up, the same thing, 2 cities, you have to come and buy it 5 cities. Why will you come? You tell me why our textiles are collapsing. Why are people buying those cheap products from China? Why is your GDP not standing? Why is your Akosomo textiles or Japan textiles, where I pass to my home Dawoti, not working? Because the cost of producing it, you cannot compete with the Chinese one. If the Chinese one is 1 cedi and yours is 2 cedi, you can't compete unless you have maybe 50 pesos and the Chinese one is 1 cedi. Then you can compete, people will buy. And the one they be buying to be sent to the election time and all these primaries and all those things. There's a particular, I've been seeing them, they are between 130 and 170. They are from China. So these are the hard truth, and we got to be honest with ourselves. Honest with our OG 50%. Who was on trial royalty 20? Increase this, increase that. This tax holiday, I don't know where it is coming from. It's the whole thing is like pregnancy. If you think we have hidden it somewhere, it will come out. Okay? There's no tax holiday. So I don't know where it is coming from. So these basic things are important that people need to understand. So that's what we paid for. Didn't we say foreigners are owing mines? Yes. Which mine in Ghana? So that's why I don't get a colonial bit. So these are the way forward. We are yet to go to ratification. Yes. Now, I'm sure next year, because Parliament is rising next week, Friday. We are yet to go to cabinet. Because the president said, look, take more information, listen to people, and then explain more, and let people understand better. So by the time we go to cabinet, Parliament, some of the arguments have become moot, or they are no longer tenable. Then, as I said, they'll come from EPA permits. Then, when they get the EPA, they'll submit the EPA to Minerals Commission, the Chief Inspector of Mines, demand 3 documents, emergency response plan, operating plan, and all those things. Then we give them construction permits. Then the various studies I'm talking about, they'll be ready. So by February, we'll know, and we'll come to the public and say, hey, the chemical plant can be set up now. Get ready. So you realize that give and take, if somebody even starts a chemical plant by March, by the time the mine will be ready, construction, everything, maybe worst case scenario, if it takes about 2.5 years or 2 years for a chemical plant, within 6 months or less than a year, we should be producing carbonate or hydroxide, as the case may be in Ghana, rather than behave like the gas situation where we're flaring, and it's not that we are building the pipelines. So, engineers, it's all that we are talking about. Because I don't get it. People are saying, oh, it is too loose. How is it loose? That will conduct a study, submit a report, and then in the event they say, oh, me, I will not do it. Then we are saying that if you don't want to do it, somebody will come and set it up. You are bound to sell to that person. And ways so people don't understand. Okay, you have to set up a chemical plant. Because you see, do you just get up and set up a chemical? You have to know the project economics, because power, they spend a lot of power. Again, this is what people don't know. Even location and all those things. So if you come and say, oh, the cost of 1 kilowatt, whatever, is this in Ghana? Where are they? If I go to Zimbabwe or China or Chile, it is, 10 times cheaper. So the cost build up of power into the whole thing makes the cost of producing a ton of the carbohydrate too expensive than the one from Chile or Australia. So we cannot compete. You understand? You cannot compete. Why have all the steel mills in Europe collapsed? Because China can produce it cheaply. Then you cannot compete. So when the report comes out, we have to look at the cost of power. Cost of power is very expensive. Yeah. So then they will come out and say, okay, then give us subsidy because power boy, charge one year won't compete. And sometimes you don't have to be a fool. They run all the scenarios and then they bring you and show you. And something you can find out that this is how much it costs. China has huge reserves of coal. So they can do it cheaply. You can't compete. So they'll tell you, then give me subsidy. If you run the models and the subsidy will amount to 80 million every year, then what next? Then you have to announce it and say, because you want a chemical plant at all costs, then we have to give you subsidy to 80 million. Then the question we have to ask ourselves is that, if we give you 80 million and you set up a chemical plant and you produce a carbonate or hydroxide and we sell it, or we set up the other downstream activities, are we going to gain more than 80 million we lose a year? Then it's worth it. Other than that, if we are not going to gain that, then what we have to say is then, if it's a matter of just having a processing plant, then you are subsidizing somebody. You are a fool. Okay? So that is it. And then if another company makes a discovery and says, I'm going to produce 30,000 tons of lithium a year against maybe 350 from a where, are you going to ask somebody who's going to produce 30 to 50,000 tons to set up a refinery for that small site? Are you getting the argument? So, ladies and gentlemen, engineers, by and large, this is the kind of thing that inform what we have done, which is available publicly. So the floor is open for questions, or apart from this, you can ask a few questions I will explain. Then we can get maybe a detailed response from engineers as a group and say, look, we've heard the Sea of Minerals Commission, we've heard government, we understood the policy reforming, but we think that improve this area, we should do this. Sometimes, unfortunately, some of the things we are hearing, for example, what we heard from Kofi Ansah, the first Sea of Minerals Commission, and Kata, who has been practicing mining over the past 40 years, the two key things they suggested, we are going to put it in an additional agreement. It doesn't need to be in the list. We are aware, for example, the price thing and those things. So this is something we can put in the main agreement when the report comes out and then we assign it up. We don't have to put it in the list. So things like this. So there are a whole lot of things that we have from additional documentation. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the list. So on this call and at this juncture, I would like to draw the curtain on the presentation. Then I'll leave the floor for you to ask all the questions from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe or Amina to Zimbabwe. So engineers, thank you so much. As I said, we agree with you, and let me come later on and see how you can take advantage of the technical and engineering services in the local content production. Many of your colleagues engineers are really chopping and really benefiting in the mining space. So at this juncture, I would like to draw the curtain on my presentation. At least, I want to believe that you have learned something, even though you are free to disagree with our position. Thank you, and thank you again.
Let's give it. Let's give it to him. Thank you very much, CEO of Minerals Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, we are opening the floor for questions, comments, etc., etc. So, do you have some? We start online. Okay, so do you have some of our friends online? Do you have some questions for us?
Yeah.
Do you have some? Okay, Engineer KDL. Engineer KD Live. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Super. I believe we will get a presentation.
Please hold on. Please hold on.
Okay.
Our presenter wanted to know if those online heard him clearly.
Yes, we heard most of it. I don't know if it's all of it, but I heard most of it.
Okay, all right.
That's
Please
fine.
go on with your question.
Yes, my first question is, I hope we shall get this presentation to read and understand it better than we do now.
Yeah, we'll send it to members. We'll send it to you.
So, moderator, I've sent the presentation to Helen. I've sent her the agreement or contract, how it's also been described, and even pointed out the various provisions which you should look at. So you have all. And any additional information you need to enrich your own discussion internally, just let us send me a message. I will send everything to you.
Okay, so my main question is, our able presenter was saying that we appeared to be comparing ourselves to people who are not our classmates. Be that as it may, can he tell us who our classmates are and what they are doing? I mean, the sort of agreements they have. So we'll be able to determine whether we want to be at the head of our classmates or we want to be at the bottom. Hope you understand my question. Thank you very much. My name is KG Lai. I forgot to add that, sorry.
All right, thank you, Engineer Kelly Lai. Would you like to? Okay, we'll take one more question online. You have somebody? Okay, please, if you can, CEO, if you can respond to Katie's question.
Yes, Engineer Lai or Lai. Yes, this is my response. And I want to put it in context. Maybe in explaining, you understand. What I'm saying is this. If you listen to commentators, critics, both for and against. People are asking that we should have asked for certain things that you can find elsewhere. For example, I read the statement formally put out by NDC today. They were saying that we should have a minimum of 10% royalty, etc. So they are saying that we could have done better. Yes and then no. And my response is that in asking for too much, two things you have to take into consideration. One, what is the size of, you have to look at the size of your deposit. You have to look at your grade and other factors before you decide to do certain things. That is not to say that you should also raise to the bottom. So for example, here am I telling you, and this is public knowledge, and this is something you can find out, that just one country like Chile has 40% of the world's reserves, no reserves. And then they produce a quarter now, whilst the river takes place in Australia. Australia has a quarter of the world's reserves, but produces half of the world's lithium. Now you can produce carbonate and those ones cheaper in Chile than Australia. So I'm saying that while some have known, which is very known, and they can even go for competitive bidding, because if you look at the president of Chile, as far back as he announced that automatically the state will take 50. And then you come and develop it, and then in lieu of that will be the 50. So I'm saying, why would we want to charge the same royalty or ask for certain things where the kind of reserves you have is not the same as somebody, one country alone that produces 40%. That's number one. Number two, I'm also saying that take a country like China, because we have all agreed that value addition is the way, and which has been the pain of our mining sector. We are not able to add value, we don't get so much. You can see even from value addition from the price, if it is falling. So you take and I use a Texas example, take a country like China that controls 44% of the midstream, that is converting the concentrate to carbonate or hydroxide. That's one country. So where your capacity to refine, and also you don't have the same reserves like Australia or Chile. Even come closer home, when I come closer home within our regional sphere, Zimbabwe. Why do you want to demand certain things that others can demand when you don't have the same kind of geology? And again, I use the oil analysis. There are certain things we can't do in our oil sector. We can't ask for certain things because we don't have the same geology like Nigeria or Equatorial Guinea or even Algeria. So certain things Algeria can demand their gas sector, cannot do it. Certain things Nigerians can. For example, Nigeria, they have capacity to shoot sight. They can interpret that. We can't do that. Okay? And certain things Saudi Arabia can do, Nigeria cannot do, because your less than 2 million barrels a day cannot be compared to that of what? Saudi Arabia 10. So my argument or my response to him is that we don't have the kind of geology that others which they are saying we should go and copy them, quote and unquote, have. So that's my answer to him. So the cost is relative, because if you have charge royalty 20%, right from the world is uncompetitive, the company may walk away. Or even if you decide to pay, you realize that you pass on that cost to the raw material now, which will now be constantly, which you use to produce a carbonate or hydroxide. So then it will be cheaper to produce the hydroxide or carbonate in Chile, in Argentina, in Bolivia, in Australia than you, because you have made the cost of producing the concentrate so expensive. Reason you have loaded too much fiscal items that we are charging by even saying that 50%. But you also add all that to the cost of production. So if we are not able to behave like Latin America and the other ones, it's because we don't have this geology. So that's my answer to this classmate conundrum. I hope the lie understood me very well.
All right, KD, I hope you're okay with the response from our presenter.
And then my email is with Helen. So anytime you can circulate my email, and then people can ask for further and better particulars or additional copy. You can email me that Matt said this. I'm not too clear. Can you explain? I'm prepared to call you on phone or call me or even Zoom with you one-on-one for you to understand it better.
All right, thank you very much. We have some questions online. I'll read them. I say, as lithium is going to be mined in Ghana to meet global demand, what environmental and socio-economic considerations are being taken into account to mitigate potential impact of local aquifers and communities in the Infantima Municipal District? And how can responsible and sustainable mining practices be assured in this context? But the question is here, probably. I know
Yes.
it's a bit long.
So what I would say is this. I'm not an expert because the feasibility was reviewed by a 6-month man income. Currently, what the engineer can take advantage of is that the scoping report being reviewed by EPA. I mean, these are things that can be publicly available. You can ask for it, but I can get it for you. Maybe it's not everybody who is like me who can just send things. So I can get you the scoping report and all the studies that have been done so that you look at it. When you explain, you'll be able to understand. Okay, so very soon they'll do public hearing, you can participate and all those things. So perhaps in the engineering group, those of you are in engineers or engineering, there are several aspects. You can also consider it and say, look, as Ghanaians, we want to participate in the public hearing, want to see the scoping report and even raise comments. So fortunately or thankfully, that's not like an agreement that has been signed like this one, but the process has started. I'll ask my colleagues and get you all the report you have submitted so that you can start looking at it, constitute your team and help other Ghana and say, look, we have looked at the scoping study, we are attending the public hearing, don't put in the papers. We also are saying, look, EPA, take note of this, take note of this, take note of it, take note of it. Fortunately, that process has just started. So this is the time that we need expertise, especially those of you who are environmental engineers, or those of you even in civil or geological, you've done a lot of work in environmental mine management. So I'll get those reports for you. That's my answer.
All right, thank you very much. There's another question online.
Find me.
All right.
That I want to assist with the environmental reports that are
I will
ongoing.
ask Edie to do that for us. There's another question. Is there a recommendation for the CEO of Minerals Commission? The commission may need a corporate communication unit to consistently engage the public on mine-related concerns. And then women in engineering, that's fine. We have women engineering here, can play a strong role in engaging the public on mine and the earth science. That's from Nyakojo Jampo. I don't know if you can, as part of the communication drive from your office, if there's something like that. I mean, in terms of engaging the public to understand what's happening.
Okay, 2 things. I'm not boasting, but I'm the most visible CEO in Ghana today. Practically every day, I'm on some media. I just came from Ekusi saying, today I was supposed to go to Metro, but I missed out because I had to prepare some briefs. From here, I'm going to the old house to look at some of the things. You understand? Practically every day, I'm on my dome, Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm on GTV. Thursday is even my Waterloo. I go to Metro, run, then I rush to Ekusi saying, then I'm being asked to come to Oman in the evening. I wonder what I can do today's session. So my PR people prepare all this and put it together. But normally, the reason why I don't let my PR or head of communications go is that sometimes they ask them political questions. Or they ask them certain policy questions. And they go and speak as technical people. And they say, hey, that is not what government said or the government doing. Then you have a problem. So at certain high level, I've decided to explain some of the things myself. And it gives you some clout. But many of these briefs are prepared by my media department. For example, Jerry is in my communications unit. I came with him. So that is it.
Right.
So we are quite busy. Very, very busy. I think you should bear with me that never in the history of commission have we exposed commission to the public like this. Some of you are even getting to know what we do because you always see me or you listen to me. I think some of you have been listening to me. You are now seeing me as we say in Ghana language, feeling. So visibility if there's anybody who has given me income visibility, it's me. But I've been there like 20-something years, I've seen it. Other than that, we're obscure, people even didn't know what we do.
Okay, there's another question online, then I'll come to our friends here. One more question online. Is it the demand for lithium in the EV sector, that's the electric vehicle, I'm sure, sector, is expected to be the main driver of growth in the coming years, as the global EV market is expected to grow at the, what's that, CAGR? CAGR of 26.4 from 2021 to 2030. Do we as a country, either private sector or government sector, have a vehicle or fund or investment in the exploration stages so that we can have 100% ownership? What are you talking about?
No. And yesterday, when we went to Ghana about the planet, they asked us that question. Right now, geological investigation, we fund it. But geological survey has not got what it takes. They've lost all their engineers and geology that to the mines or to income. Even the current director general was once from and he still is on our payroll. You see, so this thing, this public scrutiny, this opening up has led to people asking more questions now. Because, like I said a short while ago, and also on Randy, I also said it at the Kosi. For the past 30 years or so, when we ask politicians, give us money to do geological investigation, even for the block articles or small scale, and you tell them, but they get to know that the thing has only barely 5% size of justice, they say, I have to go to school, etc. For one same so, and they say, stand out, so as I keep saying, I don't know whether you're watching me and my emotions on a small scale. Something that we legalized in 1989, small scale gold law, in 5 regions, Ashanti, Eastern, Central, Western, and Boga, so we created offices. Those days under Kofi Ansa. And then we keep saying that all the areas you have identified as blockout areas, let us go and give money to geological survey to investigate. The politicians say, and we are not asking for millions of dollars a year, even 500,000, we can stand some small in some, either in Western or Eastern. Like the blocks, it is just 2-3 years that they understood that we are investigating some of the blockout areas. And then something that involved barely 100,000 people. They are transport, they are also from 5 30 regions now for small scale mining, except OT, who come from water, my mom is away, and Greater Accra. 13 regions, small scale mining, both legal and illegal, and the illegal numbers are bigger. 3 million livelihoods. And I keep telling people that for me, the biggest cause of Galamsey is getting a place for them to work. That's why they dig everywhere. So it is our attitude. I went to Wager Dam and I wept. Because my auntie said, go and register my land for me. I told my colleagues, Lands Commission boys, said, oh, that whole area is there. But if I beat Wager Dam, you see the way we build there. Look at all the houses there, Ramsars, and when we start breaking, you saw our attitude. So it is the same attitude. So if now this lithium thing has made us wake up from slumber and now you kick too, because you can imagine if you $10 million and say you don't find anything. See, of course, financial. Even this one, but they said me if you are paid too much. So maybe sometimes certain things need to happen to you for you to think properly. So if now we have realized that because we didn't have data, remember we used to have state-owned mines, Takwa, we sold it, Prestia, Dunga Continental. When we had the opportunity of running the mines, we sold them, the gear farming, and all those things. So if now we've all realized that the better they're asking for, the house, we didn't get it because we have kind of deposit on known reserves like Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina, so we cannot ask the same terms like them. It is because we have not been doing geological investigation when we have an institution since 1916 or whatever. Geological survey is 111 or 7 years old. This is what we have done to ourselves as a nation. So right now, I'm about this lithium thing now. Everybody, go when you tell people that we have put $5 million down for geological survey every year in their budget, go and do something that they may not necessarily say, hey, Anna, you need to. So now, this has made us to be thinking now. Assembly. It has to come to that. Now we are thinking properly. Yeah, some people are, yeah, that is it. Now they bought a new rig, new one. I'm sure next week or so, government will outdoor it for them because they have the capacity. It's the money they don't have. They need vehicles to go around Ghana. They need to take samples and take it to SGS or Internet to go and test it. Yes, the funniest among you know your people so hey, oh, hey, and person I didn't number we want to talk. So this has now gone everybody now that we need to resource biological.
It's
So
long overdue.
it's long overdue. It's long overdue. So we are. That's my answer.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll come here if no our friends here. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin. I think we have back to do with you. And I'm sure we'll be coming to you and then we'll be playing our part as well. You know, when I got the lease agreement, the first thing I quickly looked at was the arbitration and dispute resolution clause 34. And I was pleasantly surprised that you had a seat of arbitration as Accra in Ghana law. There's only be that said answer. So for the rules, and even that, the parties should agree. You know, so I was quite pleased with that. And also to let you know that we have engineers who are also arbitrators. And so with these things, arbitrators who are engineers are better placed to understand some of these things. So consider that also and see how future you can look at that.
Especially what we call expert definition. We fall on engineers.
Yes. And I'm hoping that future contracts will also be using the Act 798 and using the Alternate Dispute Resolution Act in Ghana here. Because the cost of arbitration and all those things, when they arise, the travel, you go out and sit in London, your hotel bills, you have to take lawyers in London and all that. But the arbitrators are going to be appointed here. And, you know, that will help a lot in reducing the cost of.
Yeah, nobody's looking at it. People are interested in money. So they say charge at 26% like Chile.
All right, he's in chair. Not the letter from teacher, but the name as the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I've been sitting a long time. Yeah. Thank you for really a very illuminating, presentation. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we have this phenomenon of confidence in ignorance.
Sometimes I create those on my presentation. Like I said, when you find one crocodile in the pond, you think you should make it a
I mean, it's a shame, but you see that all the time. So much confidence in ignorance, and I'm really glad that beyond the talk, we really offered to establish almost like a partnership with engineering. I think, I really like your attitude, your proposal to form a partnership with the engineering community. And you seem very open-minded and so on. And I also hope that as a community, we need to support this idea of the geological survey. Data cannot do anything without data. And I think we need to find a way to change the attitude of, being just focused on today. I mean, without the data, it's a shame that we have a very competent organization, and yet we starve it. And if we hope to make use of our leverage and so on, then we better make the investment now rather than later. Because as we all know, if you do the investment at the outset, of course the risk is much higher, but the potential return is also much, much higher. So if there is anything that comes out of this, I think this idea that we need to invest in data so that we know what we have. Because if we don't know what we have, and a lot of your discussions about leverage, Chile, all of this about leverage. You cannot leverage if you don't know what your own strengths are. And I think we need to, Now, it's a good thing that you've been in the stump and being the most visible CEO. I think, you're a young man, you have and so on. But what I would plead with you is find a way to institutionalize it so that you yourself don't have to go, all the time. And I've been telling the community that, in Ghana and Africa in general, we've got, what I call, individual excellence. We have people who are very good. Unfortunately, we tend to have what I call incompetence because we don't, develop. And I think what you have to do is to find a way to replicate yourself. It's not easy, but find a way to replicate yourself, your capability, and so on, so that, you don't have to be on 27 different, stations. So that'll be my plea to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, EC Chair. Any of our colleagues here?
Thank you, and nice presentation. My concern has to do with the expectations of the people within the area where the mining will happen. I've not been to any mining community to see how developments go on vis-a-vis the expectations of the people in there. But stories we hear say that the people expect the mining to change the community, but it's not like that with most of our mining communities. How do we get the assurance with the 1% community development that we are getting from this? How do we get the assurance that at least the expectation of the people within the community for the mining, also Ghanaians, would address this challenge? Is one concern. There's also a second question. There's also this media report. I don't know if you've seen it, that Elon Musk will be coming to Ghana to present a better deal. I don't know if that is true or you've seen it. It's on Twitter anywhere. And the other question is, if we had a refinery, I mean, small as you are saying, our production would be, is it not possible that we get raw materials from other countries to refine? I don't know how discussion has come up, if it has, whether we can look at that also.
All right, thank you very much. See you.
Let me take it from the bottom. Yes. So you see, you have now given the reason why you shouldn't make yourself too flinching, too you understand? The plans of establishment is too expensive. It's even easier to take it to Europe than to bring it here. So some of the proposals we have received, they are looking at that to see whether people could bring it from. Because Mali, do you know what they're going to do? They're going to track it all the way to Abidjan, to the port and export to Europe. Government is the biggest producer in China. You see it. So why can't they bring it here? But why would government bring it here? If you go and develop it cheaply, they want to take it to China. So that's also being looked at. Also on the proposal, they said they want to look at a regional kind of thing. In fact, some people even just want to set up a chemical plant. In fact, that's what informed the issue of what we call it, making the spodumene available in the event the person don't want to do it. Okay, so, but the bottom line is that you do it. Whether it's done by a third party or the person who produced the concentrate, it has to be done. People are also not looking at that. Then the other question has to do with the community issues. Yes, we have developed a framework. There will be an agreement that will be signed between the company and the community. Who will lead that so that they are not shortchanged? And then it will not be used to finance recurrent expenditure. No way. All these things will be captured in it. No way. No way. Practically no way. We shouldn't allow that. Then they're going to get all these millions of dollars a year. And then, I checked with the Infantiman Municipal Chief Executive. He says his common fund is about $120,000, about $100,000. Okay. And then our last bill we ran, we're looking at not less than $6 million for 6 communities. Krampako, Mabonko, Ewoya, and go. That's a lot of money. Besides other things we'll be doing. So it's very, very important we do that. That is it. So the framework for them to use the money we've certainly done it. We might even pass it under the NDF Act so that people don't just misuse the money. Yes, you can answer.
Right, thank you so much. You made mention of data. Okay, thank you. The chair talked about data, and I wanted to find out how extensively were we involved in the exploration, and then the grades you talked about the lithium in comparison with other countries. How did we come by that grade that we talked about? So if the people doing the exploration gives you this, how can we say is the truth and this is actually the grade we actually have in our system and can compare to other countries? So the next one will be about research and development in this policy. There are lots happening, and we do a little when it comes to research and development, which will also come back to data and order and collection. Yeah, so capacity building when it comes to research and development, what's the commission doing to empower universities, the research institutions, so that we prepare? Because I think the problem is we're not preparing adequately over the time. Manganese has always been exported. We have the research institution doing 1 or 2, but then it doesn't end anywhere. For some time, you made even mention that it's about it's 80% owned by Ghana, by 20% other concession, but it's also the other way when you read online. You can even samples from the site. Sometimes difficult. You go and then it's like, okay, the Chinese are there, so you don't even get it. So with all this, how can we even develop as a nation when it comes to research and development? Because we don't even know what is there. Recently, a student I was supervising for the University of Ghana, we picked the bauxite, which we are already exporting, which I know is maybe it's the aluminum. We kind of export it based on aluminum, but we have gallium there, which is also a green mineral, which you want out here, but we don't even price it because we don't know how much of this gallium is there. So the feasibility study that we did, we realized there is some amount of gallium there, but even this is being financed by the student with the supervisor. There is no money to invest into this. Yeah, so our leaders, I don't know how we are going to, until when we decide to say we are going to invest into research and development, so that when some of this thing comes up, we can actually have the confidence to say, this is what is there, and this is how much we want to sell it, so that we don't sit and have them dictating to us in the way. All right, thank you so much.
2 things. You know, if you lie about this and go on the stock exchange, you know what it means. You lie and you file something that is not, because there are international ways of reporting reserves and all these things. So if you go and lie, you risk being sued. I mean, there are a lot of examples now. So if you go and report, now the international will like JOC, Joint All Reserve for Australia, and then I think Canada is National Instrument 43101. So because of this issue of lies and misrepresentation, especially those who are on these stock exchanges, they are very careful. So you cannot just put out there, go and put there SC6, your grade is 1.25, when it turns out that your grade is what? 1 or 1.2. It has a lot of legal implications. So at least that one, people are careful. Then I may have to tell you something. Maybe you say I'm boasting. The last 2 years, things have changed at Minerals Commission. I have about 26 people that we send outside for studies. It is me who started sending people out at Minerals Commission for PhD. I'm building a research unit. So for example, and I send them to the best. As I speak, I have 4 people in mineral economics in Colorado School of Mine, which is the best mining engineering school in the world. We are paying for it. Even one is doing PhD in mineral economics. One Hassan, you know him, Hassan. Hassan did diploma in geological engineering, and I came to do geology all over again as a master's. Now he's doing PhD in mineral economics. I want him to come back in 2025 and head research. Never in the history of Minerals Commission that we go to the two best universities in mining engineering in the world, Colorado and Curtin in Australia. Australia is the best mining engineering school, Curtin. Yeah, so I have what, 5 there? In February, 4 more joined. I have scholarship at Mexico Tech. I have 6 people there. Then I have 4 people in camp. Just as we have about 4 people undergoing training in Cambon, Curtin, in what do we call it, the Colorado School of Mines. I didn't see that in my life at Minerals Commission. I couldn't dream that they will send you out for you to go and do PhD. 3 years in Colorado and it will be paid for. We are doing it now. It's very expensive. You find out how much it costs 1 year at Colorado School of Mines. These are the best. This is the first time in nearly something years of Minerals Commission that we have even sent people to Colorado School of Mines. 4, to speak now. One is PhD in mineral economics, one is in mineral economics, and we are gender sensitive. And then another guy is also doing masters in mining, and they are all mining engineers. Then one guy is doing mining engineering. Then we send people to Curtin. You understand that? Yes. And we have just gotten a guy who had first class in metallurgical engineering. He joined us 3 years ago. He's at our Bibiani office. We hired him, gave him a contract that's barely a month. He said Medrock has given him full scholarship 2 years to do research in critical minerals. So people are saying he has not done 3 years minimum. I said, nonsense. I've approved. He's leaving next week. 2 years. We will just bond the 8 years. You come back. Okay, so people are going out. By end of next year, we may have as many as about 10 people studying in Curtin University. So we take our people to the best universities in the world. Give us years, you see the kind of that we have at Finance Commission. To the extent that I'm not posting today, unless you have not heard. If you ask any young graduate, are you looking for a job? Yes. Do you have any place in mind? Sometimes we start like that. You tell you want to work at Finance Commission. Change the face of the commission. Apart from the possibility, I said we have 26 people learning outside. Some have scholarship, some full, some partial, and not just merely by engineering by us. We need to train our inspector. Look, engineers, you have Newmont, the biggest piece of gold in the world. They run a chin mine, they run a full mine, which is both underground. Last year, we were just 6,000 ounces short of 1 million ounces. You know the price of gold today over 2,000. They are building a third mine. I have enough, 30 kilometers north. And America is the richest country in the world because of the world's GDP. And then you deploy state-of-the-art technology. An inspector should be able to enter Subika underground and be able to spot a potential accident. So let nobody come and tell you why you spending 200,000 for somebody to go and learn. Because it's all about artificial intelligence, robotics, and AI. So your electrical engineer, inspector enters underground, has not seen some wiring before, and then he comes out. You come and laughing stock. So now within the last 2 years, we also take our people, some of the in the world, and we pay for it because I know what it means. I train as a mining lawyer in UK and also in Canada. So I've come very far. So why can't I give the same exposure to our people? So these young girls who are joining us 3 years, we send them out. They go to South Africa, they go to UK, they are there learning. Even now, there's a new course called Mine Environmental Management in Cambon. There are 4 people who are doing it now. When they finish, they will still do the master's in mining engineering. 2 years they are back. 20-something thousand pounds will pay. When they went, they gave them 4,000 pounds scholarship. So the fee is 20,000. We are paying. Because the effect of not spending and doing that thing will be what? There's a guy I've taken to New Mexico Tech. He's doing masters in explosive engineering. And when we finish, we allow them to stay in the mine and work. 1 year, then they come back. A brilliant boy, about 36 years. He joined us from Obuasi Mines 4 years. We took him to Curtin. He had Colorado, but there was a visa issue. He just finished on top of his class. He submitted his thesis in February. He said he has gotten a job at Northern Star. Me, what I came to meet, maximum 1 month, but I said they should all stay. So all the 6 people in New Mexico Tech, they are all staying 1 year to work in Nevada mines, Freeport, Magmura. Why did you send them there? So by the time you come, Omapi. So those who went last year, instead of then coming in May, June, I said they should stay and work 1 year because the company said they should come back. You know, US, they have long back vacation in the year. So in about 3-4 years, the quality of staff will have the finest. So we are investing. I'm sure some of you have colleagues who work at Bincom. They are telling me, yeah, we are investing a lot, spending big time in training. There's this young girl I took. She went to Valley University. She had first class in maths and statistics, 3.8 or so. She got a scholarship. We have approved for her to go and come. So we also invest a lot in knowledge and technology. Wow. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. And I'm challenging any CEO who has left Income to come and tell me, nobody will pay for you to go and do PhD at Minerals Commission throughout. The person went out last year, Hassan, PhD in economics. Very expensive. By the time we finish, almost $100,000. We have to pay because I know what it is. Yes. So you come back and head research after almost 20-something years in exploration, in engineering, and all those things. So such a person, when he's producing research, you know what he produce. So we have built a research department now, mining engineers, and I'm sending 2 people out now. There's one guy who joined us from AGC and the mines. 16 years he joined us. He's a young guy, 41 years. He had a first class in math. 16 years at the mine, he has joined us. We want to take him out for PhD in McGill. Then there's another guy who's also going out for PhD. You will handle the small scale team after working as small scale district. Then we have those who are doing statistics. One guy just returned last week, for example, with a master's in economics. This last week, with wisdom from Ketty, we paid for it. So, my sister, we are investing a lot. And then I'm supporting UMAT. They are doing exploration for us in some of the block areas. We're giving Professor Mankwa a vehicle and we pay for the practical investigation. I did not see this when I was at Minko. I don't need to tell you this, but I am telling you now. You can verify.
Thank you very much. Chairman also wants to ask another question.
Actually, more to congratulate you for the investment you've been making people. But maybe you should also adopt UMAT. Not just, but really make a conscious effort to make UMAT as good as some of the universities that you've been talking about. I think maybe let's set that. I think it's good to have the people, but find a way to actually build locally, that capability so that we can get even many more people trained. That'll be my appeal.
So we started with the exploration they are doing for us in some of the block areas. And then we in Geological Survey are doing that. There's a permanent committee. And also I've had discussion with Professor Mankwa that he should bring a proposal for us to create a chair in critical minerals. And we'll make contact. Apart from that, they get a lot of support from Chamber of Mines. But we can scale it up and do better. Yeah. Now I'm being accused by the other universities of being biased. But you can imagine the University of Witwatersrand, which is perhaps one of the finest mining engineering schools, they will get a lot of funding in mining engineering. So yes, I may look at the other universities too, but you understand why we are biased away. It is well noted.
Yeah, I think it's we need critical mass there, because that's what the university was created for. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll come to Uncle here.
Well, all I have to say is that you're coming to a sector, or you are in a sector where there's a lot of misconceptions. I recall very much when I was working with Obuasi, my former lecturer in the university telling me that the gold that we export in Obuasi has nuclear trace metals. And as I said, we have been doing this, we've done a lot of it. There's nothing like that. And he carried it further until later on his own research said that it wasn't possible. So you are coming from a sector where there's a lot of misconceptions. Your own area, when you said iron, immediately people thought that iron mining and gold mining were the same. And therefore the churches were the first to say no. Now IEA is using the same formula. Go to the churches where whatever the priest say It's fact. True. So I will encourage you to do more of what you are doing. But please, be quick to react. I'm happy that after all the negativity, you still have not relented and continue to educate the public until Parliament itself gets educated. Otherwise, by February, and next year is another year altogether. By February, your bill will be going up and down, and there will be no approval. So more, I would say, continue and do not relent. Build alliances, at least.
Support us to support them.
As executive director says that support the institute to support you.
All right, thank you, but I'll pick a last question. I say there's talk about raising shares for individuals to purchase at the stock exchange. We are reminded by the last shares in mining at Shanti Gold, where the shares lost value within a short while. How can we make sure that our local shares lost value while they rise outside the country? Right? Is it so clear?
Fortunately, whatever will happen in Ghana is what will happen in Australia. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to arrange another round of meeting with the head of Mina Income Investment Fund, the one that is running the sovereign wealth fund for Ghana, to come and do a presentation.
Okay, that's
on lobby. Such a very understanding. Whatever, I'll arrange it for you. Maybe next week we'll come and come and discuss what went into the purchase and all those things. But you see, again, I love that. That's the risk. He's so scared. And then they will say, oh, but they are risk tolerant. I told somebody, look, there are some properties coming. They say, oh, Martin, because real estate war, cantonments, I mean, this embassy, so, yes, I appreciate what you're saying. But you see, sometimes you got to think, we are risk averse. But I see people now understanding. I mean, I'm so humble living here with the fact that God, that we need to fund the lost cancer of me. And then that if they give you $1 million, this year, you go and look for gold in the tea, don't find it, of course, financial loss. And so the thing goes up and down, up and down. Okay, so that is it. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. EC. Yes, so we invite Engineer Doctor to give us a closing remark.
So you can circulate my email. It's not
Yeah. Well, thank you. Again, repeat what I said earlier. Thank you for a very illuminating, discussion. I hope this is the first of a series. You yourself have offered that you come back in several occasions so that we continue this dialogue. The nation needs it. And as a matter of fact, I think one way to, debunk some of the, ideas being thrown around is to have an ally like the engineering community. I think statements issued from the engineering community will have a certain currency, which, will help the nation. So stay close to us. And we thank you for having initiated this. And we will continue to make sure that working together, the Geological Survey will become an institution of choice and relevance in this country. I think it has been sleeping for far too long. We have not been making use of what it can provide us. And particularly for our younger ones, I hope that we can give this lecture at the universities. And I definitely will invite you, I'm the chairman of Sunyani Technical University, and I'm going to invite you to give a lecture, because I think this sort of information, needs, I have not had Newmont come in there to give this kind of lecture. And I would really encourage that, particularly at our tertiary institutions, you begin, you and your colleagues, have a program to educate them on the importance, of the work that the Mineral Commission does. I don't think it is sufficiently appreciated, in the country. So working together, I think we can get a lot. And let me thank everybody for having had, as they say, it now, thanks to online, tend not to have as many people, in this hall. But it is okay. It is okay because the important thing is not to have, quantity of bodies, but rather have the message. And I think online, what we've been seeing is that we've been getting a lot of people, online. So please don't take the limited number of people.
So like 145.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is, and this is a subject that we are, interested in, and make us passionate about it. And in the end, they're helping to develop our group excellence. Because the only way we are going to survive as a nation is when we translate the individual excellence to group excellence. And thank you once again. And thank you, everybody. And particularly those of you online, the patience to have stayed through all of this and engaged, So we look forward to your next visit. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Engineer Doctor. So, shall we pray? We are closing. We are closing. We are praying. Father, we thank you so much. We are grateful for all you've done. Continue to do for us, Father. All that we have heard here, we pray that it will go a long way to continue to impact our country, to help us to do all that we need to do to move the country forward. This and many other blessings we ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. Bye for now. Please, we'll take a group photograph, a brief one, please. Yes.